For this first card here, it opens up like this, and you're going to pick up your envelope that has the number 1 in it. From here, let's take out all of the components. This will be the envelope that you use so that you can mail out your card. You should have at least 1 octopus. You will have this pink marbled layer that's already pre-cut. You'll have this pink card that's already been folded and scored for you. And you should have 2 of these white pages. So first thing that you're going to do is you're going to assemble the card. So let's go ahead and glue down the white piece, kind of centered with a 1/8 of a border on the front, and then glue down this marble piece right in the center. Now, it doesn't really matter which way you want to orient this marble card. Everybody's kit is going to be a little bit different because the marbling is not exactly the same on every page. I'm going to do it like this because I want to put the sentiment here and then put the octopus there. But you can easily do it like this too. You can put the sentiment here and the octopus here, or the sentiment here, the octopus here, whatever you'd like to do. But I'm going to do it this way. And then you're going to glue this on the inside of the card. But before you do that, let's go ahead and stamp some images on the inside. Like what I've done here is I've stamped some sea stars on the inside. And I like to stamp it a little bit off the paper. So let's go ahead and do that first before we glue it down. So I'm going to use this gray granite ink. You can use any color ink that you have, but I've included a grayish type ink color in your kit. And you are going to open up your stamp set. And, oh, oops, I already had it on here. So you're going to cling on the rubber stamp onto the block. So usually what I like to do is just put the stamp on the paper, and then just grab it with my acrylic. Just tap, tap, tap. And then oftentimes I like to have some scratch paper here, so then I'm just going to press down. Do I like the way it looks? Yes, I do. So I'm just going to do tap, 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 and then I'm going to stamp here kind of like a little bit off the center. And then I'm going to do ink it up again, and it doesn't use you don't need a lot of ink, but because there's a lot of detail on this stamp. You can see there's little dots on the sea star, and if you put too much ink, you'll miss out on the detail of the stamp. So I think that looks pretty good, and I like to have this little apparatus. It's a kind of like a stamp and scrub, and there's like a little chamois here. So I like to have that close by so then I can clean my stamps as I go. Okay. So I like to use this kind of tape runner. It just makes it easy, but you can use any kind of glue as well. I'm just going to glue it and center it on here. And then now I'm going to glue these pieces on. So you're going to glue on the white piece to mat it down. And then I'm going to glue this marble piece on top. Next, before we glue on the octopus, I want to show you a way that we're going to add some unique detail to. Okay, to stamp on the image for this octopus, I'd like to use 2 differing colors. Like for example, I'm going to use this dark green and this calypso coral, which is kind of like an orangey red. And I want to use these sponge daubers that I've included in your kit. I've included 2. One I like to use for the dark colors, one I like to use for the lighter colors. And what we're going to do is, we're going to dab on the ink directly onto the stamp the stamp, and then stamp it onto this octopus. So let's go ahead and get our octopus stamp, and I'm just going to mount it on this block here. Oops, get all the stragglers out. And for example, on the example card, I've done 2 different colors. I did a dark green and then kind of like a yellowish tan. I'm gonna do like a dark green and an orange this time. So you just have to remember when you're inking it up, it's going to be a mirror image. So if I want the dark green to be on the left side of the octopus, you're going to put the dark green on the right side when you're inking it up. And I'm going to put the orange on this left side, which is going to stamp on the right side. Okay, so I'm going to use a lighter color first, the orange. Oops. I'm just going to open these up. This one is the Evening Evergreen, and this one is the Calypso Coral. So you put the sponge dauber on your finger just like this. You just tap, 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 and I am going to do this on the right side. And you just kind of do approximate, you know, just cover the whole thing. And then I'm gonna use the green dauber and then do the left side. And then you wanna make sure you overlap because you don't want any empty spots. I'm just gonna kind of bring it over, the green over onto the tentacles too. Okay. And then I am going to, first I'm going to practice on my scratch paper, and I'm just gonna squeeze it just to see if the way I did it, if I liked it. And yeah, I like it. There's the dark green and then the orange on this side. So I'm gonna do that again. Sometimes I like to do scratch paper technique, but you don't have to. So I kind of remember how I dabbed it. So I'm gonna do this again on this side. And I'm gonna do less of the green. I like the orange. Maybe just a little bit on the edges of the tentacles, that's it. Okay, so now that this is inked up, you kind of have to be careful because this is not a photopolymer stamp. This is a cling stamp, so that means you can't see through it exactly where you're stamping. And with this octopus, with all the tentacles and everything, it's actually quite tricky. Oops, there's some spots here that I didn't get out. So it's kind of tricky. So I like to do the upside down technique, and you kind of just have to eyeball it. So I hold the octopus, like one of the tentacles. I'm left-handed, so I hold it on this side. And then I'm just gonna kind of eyeball like where the head is. And then I'm gonna put the head down. And then I eyeball where the other tentacles are. And then I just kind of place it down. And then once you place it down, it doesn't have to be perfect, but don't move it. You just place it down. You kind of press your fingers on top. Don't shift the paper. And then when you think you've got it all covered, you just kind of lift it up. And there you go. So there's your octopus with the 2 colors. Okay, so I'm gonna clean my stamp. And I'm just gonna get like a regular black pen, black Sharpie. And then there's 2 little sections of where you can put the eyes, and I'm just gonna put the black dot here. And there you go, you have your octopus all ready to go. Now let's add some shiny effects to our octopus. In your kit is either the glossy accents or the shimmery crystal effects from Stampin' Up. And what you're going to do is you're going to color in the whole octopus with the glossy accents or with the Crystal Effects. They're both very similar products. But the only thing is that it's going to take some time to dry. So that's why I'm using this as our first card. So by the time you get through all 5 cards, this would be ready. Okay, so let me just cover this, close my ink pad so they don't dry out. And these kind of have like a small sharp tip. So sometimes with the glue, it kind of gets clogged. Oops. So I just use this paper clip. Oops, I just use this kind of paper clip to kind of unglue it and just kind of swirl it around. Okay. Okay. So you're going to use this. You don't want to lay it on too thick, but you want to, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Oops. You don't want to lay it on too thick, but you also don't want to have any gaps. So I like to do the outline first and then fill it in. So, oops. My nozzle is not, so like, see how it's coming out? First, and then I like to like fill it in. And you just cover all the colored parts.